Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into it because today we are unpacking a single hyper-specific number that is going to completely redefine your relationship with money. We're talking about why exactly $1,000 changes your financial decisions. Look, understanding the mechanics behind this exact number, it's the absolute line between just reacting to the crazy events in your life and actually running your life. So let's break down exactly how to build a standard that actually works for you. They say the first $1,000 changes everything. Now, let's be totally realistic for a second. This number is not going to make you rich. $1,000 won't buy you a house, it's definitely not buying you a new car, and no, it won't magically erase all your debt. But here is why it actually matters way more than your salary. It completely changes the foundation of every single financial choice you make moving forward. It acts as a hard, unbreakable floor. Without this floor, you're basically just defaulting to panic. Every little surprise feels catastrophic, bringing this constant low-level anxiety of living right on the edge. But once you install that $1,000 buffer, well, everything flips. You start making decisions from a position of real strength. When you have that cash just sitting there, for the first time, you're stepping back and making choices from a stable, grounded foundation. You stop reacting out of pure fear, and you start responding with logic. Let's ground this in a number we all know too well: $600. We're not talking about some rare, life-altering catastrophe here. We are literally talking about a normal Tuesday. Your car needs a sudden $600 repair. Or maybe your phone screen cracks, or your landlord drops a 30-day notice that rent is going up by $150. These are completely mundane events. But without that $1,000 floor, a simple $600 inconvenience instantly escalates into a five-alarm fire. Having zero runway, being just one unlucky week away from complete financial freefall, is incredibly common. If you're feeling that right now, look, your reality is valid. It happens to a lot of us. But just because it's common does not mean it should ever be accepted as normal. When we accept living with zero buffer as our normal, we are completely surrendering our control. And when you accept zero runway as normal, you trigger this massive chain reaction. It actively drains your life in four critical non-monetary ways: lost options, lost leverage, a ruined nervous system, and stolen time. Let's break these down one by one, because honestly, once you see these hidden costs, you really can't unsee them. First up, lost options. When you have absolutely no cushion, every single decision you make is downstream of fear. What does that actually mean? It means you aren't making proactive choices. You're just taking whatever scraps are left after fear takes its cut. You stay in a bad job you absolutely hate because you simply cannot afford to miss a single paycheck. You endure draining living arrangements or bad relationships because leaving costs money you just don't have. You literally lose the power to say no. Which leads us right to the second cost: lost leverage. When your financial instability becomes something everyone around you has to manage, it costs you respect. If you're constantly having to borrow small amounts, $100 here, $300 there, your friends and your partners start to view you as a future liability rather than a builder. It's not because they don't like you, it's just basic pattern recognition. People want to build a life with someone who is stable. The third cost is perhaps the most physically damaging: a totally ruined nervous system. Without a buffer, your baseline stress is elevated 24/7. Just think about it. Every time a notification from your banking app pops up on your phone, your heart rate spikes, right? You aren't sleeping right. You become short-tempered. You literally forget what actual calm feels like. This ceases to be just a money problem. It becomes a severe quality of life problem that just seeps into every other area of your day. And the fourth hidden cost: stolen time. When you don't have savings, you are essentially prepaying to be poor later. Here is the brutal math on this. Every dollar you don't have saved for an emergency steals your future time because you are forced to earn that exact same money twice. You have to earn it once to actually cover the cost of the emergency, and then you got to earn it all over again to pay off the credit card debt and the crazy interest you took on just to survive it. So here is the ultimate takeaway from all of this stress. This isn't an income problem. At its core, it's a standards problem. There are plenty of people out there making 70, 80, even 100 grand a year who have absolutely zero saved in the bank. The money is flowing in, sure, but it's flowing right back out because there are no hard rules in place to stop it. It is entirely a matter of the standards you hold yourself to. So how do we actually fix the standard? Well, we introduce mechanical rules. To build this $1,000 floor correctly, it has to happen before paying extra on your debt. It absolutely cannot be used for investing, and it needs to be completely, utterly boring. Let's look at why these rules are non-negotiable. Take the massive myth of pay off your debt first. If you throw every single spare penny at your debt and a random emergency hits, your progress is completely crushed. You either go further into debt or you just pause your progress entirely. But if the $1,000 buffer goes first, it absorbs the hit of the emergency so your debt payoff plan can continue completely uninterrupted. You just make the minimum payments on your debt until this buffer is fully built. The exact same logic goes for investing. Investing without a buffer isn't building wealth, it's gambling. It really doesn't matter what hot stock tip you got. If you put money into the market before you have a cash buffer, you're just setting yourself up for failure. When an emergency inevitably happens, and it will, you're going to be forced to sell your investments at the exact worst possible time just to cover the bill. You're literally just moving your financial instability from your checking account over to your portfolio. Finally, you have to make this money boring on purpose. Adding friction isn't an insult to your discipline, it's a seatbelt. This $1,000 fund needs to live in a totally separate, high-yield savings account, completely unattached from your daily debit card. Why? To protect you from yourself. At 11 p.m. on a Friday, when some spontaneous, impulse-driven opportunity pops up, you need a physical barrier between you and that cash. You wear a seatbelt no matter how good of a driver you are, right? Well, this account setup is your financial seatbelt. Okay, let's shift gears into execution mode. How do we actually find this money? Start by auditing your subscriptions. Seriously, most people can easily find $50 to $150 a month in apps and services they completely forgot they were even paying for. Second, take a hard look at your lifestyle. You might be financing your image, buying things out of a fear of looking broke. Cut those back strictly for just 60 to 90 days. And third, update your goal setting. Stop relying on this vague wish to save more. You need a hard number, a firm deadline, and a named account location. Now, this brings us to a major mental roadblock for a lot of folks. Sometimes people think $1,000 is just too small to even matter. They compare $1,000 to a massive $50,000 problem, like, say, buying a house, and decide it's just pointless. That is totally the wrong comparison. The right comparison is looking at these $600 problems that actually pop up every single month. $1,000 absolutely stops the bleeding on almost all of those daily life emergencies. And this is exactly why we have to establish a true standard. A true standard requires a specific number, a firm deadline, and a named location. Saying, oh, I'm going to try to save some money is completely useless because, let's face it, intentions do not survive contact with a really stressful week. A standard is a hard, rigid plan. It means you are saving exactly $1,000 within the next 60 to 90 days and placing it into a specifically named savings account. No excuses. But honestly, the most incredible part of this entire process is the identity shift. The money itself is great, sure, but the psychological evolution that happens while you build this fund, it's worth far more than the cash. You suddenly start checking prices before you buy. You start comfortably saying no to people who cost you money. You finally begin treating your hard-earned money as something that is actually worth protecting. That $1,000 is just the physical proof that your entire mindset has fundamentally evolved. The hard truth we all have to swallow is that everything before the first $1,000 is literally just talk. Before the safety net is in place, you're just guessing, you're hoping, and you are leaving yourself incredibly vulnerable to life's inevitable surprises. But the very moment you build that foundation, you take the control back. The standard must be set. So the absolutely crucial point we're going to end on today is this question. Are you ready to stop talking and start building your floor today? The time to stop negotiating with yourself is right now. Take automated actions straight out of your very next paycheck. Set up that boring, separate account and build your runway. Because I promise you, once you hit that $1,000 mark, you will never, ever make a financial decision from a place of panic again. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you. Go take that first step today.